Trigger warning. This episode discusses spiritual psychosis and includes themes that some viewers may find disturbing. Please be advised.
Welcome to this week's episode of Two Bitches and a Broom. Thank you for joining us for the topic of the week, which is going to be spiritual psychosis. What is that? How do you know that you are you going through that?
Yeah.
All of the things. This is a hot topic right now. It's kind of making its rounds with everybody, what it is, what signs going through it, et cetera, et cetera.
I think on social media, there's a lot of people who are not spiritual, or who are not deeply ingrained in spiritual practices. Let me correct myself. And who are saying that person is experiencing it. And I'm also seeing people who are deeply ingrained in spiritual practices who are also saying this person is experiencing it. And I find that to be a time that we have to kind of sit up and pay attention, you know? I think that it can be like COVID. I think it really can.
Yeah.
You can actually, if you are interacting with these individuals on a consistent basis, I think it's very catchy. That's how I'm going to phrase it, you know. I think that this whole podcast, hopefully, well, what it aims to do is to shed light on how you can recognize spiritual psychosis, how you can understand its symptoms, how you can learn to employ clear discernment, good decision making, whatever good decision making is for you, and how to traverse the realms of spirituality.
Yeah. So what is because you are way more apt for definitions and things than me, but what would the definition of spiritual psychosis consist of?
So I think that to recognize spiritual psychosis, it is essential to differentiate between a profound spiritual experience and then symptoms of psychosis that are cloaked in spiritual significance. Okay. That's the best way I can describe it. You know, I think spiritual experiences enhance a person's well-being. It provides them with a sense of connectedness to the universe without leading to any dysfunction, to any distress. And in contrast, spiritual psychosis can manifest through delusions, hallucinations with a spiritual theme, like believing someone to be a deity, receiving special, unique messages from a divine entity, which significantly will impair their ability to function productively. Yeah. That's
I agree.
Does that help?
It does. Yeah, I did. And I feel like too, I've seen examples just in perusing this topic and kind of digging in a little bit deeper where fear plays a large part in flipping that coin, right?
Absolutely.
And I see this with even with just readers, when you're garnering information, especially in this time frame that we're living in right now, and there's so much unknown and so much shifting and changing. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen. What is this world going into? What are we facing? What's going to happen? What is, with society, with all these structures breaking down? And I've noticed some examples of individuals receiving information,
Mhm.
but allowing the fear to take over said information, and
Mhm.
it just spirals completely
Yep.
out of through that, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like it kind of leads back to of your groundedness and your anchor into your own foundation as well. When you are seeking information collectively for, you know, just even just with current events and what's happening, it can absolutely lead someone into a fearful state and induce a whole bunch of stuff from that fearful state.
Yeah. I agree.
Mhm.
I think that employing clear discernment is crucial for anybody who is exploring spirituality. And I know we did an episode where it was, you know, where we talked about that, where it was like reality versus something.
Yeah,
Do you remember
yes.
that? Yeah.
Yes, it was yeah, it was that reality perception,
Okay. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's in
Yeah.
our history.
Yeah. So I think discernment involves critically evaluating your experience and
Mhm.
then seeking the guidance of a trusted and very grounded spiritual mentor. Maintaining a good, strong connection with your current reality, because it's important to approach, I think it is, anyways, to approach any spiritual practice with a sense of humility and openness rather than just using it as an escape for your personal
Mhm.
issues or mental health challenges, you know, integrating practices that are promoting grounding and balance, like mindfulness. You guys have heard us talk about this, mindfulness,
Yeah.
meditation, you know, that can support you in staying connected with reality while you're exploring your spiritual decisions. But grounding is a must. Mindfulness is a must. And it's not the grounding that I'm carrying a stone in my pocket, which we've talked about this too.
Right,
You know,
right.
oh, I carry a grounding stone. I'm totally grounded. That stone is assisting you. It is just, I love your saying so much when
Mhm.
you said it's a co-worker. I that will never
Yeah.
leave my head. And I told you I was going to use it, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that's exactly what it is. She was spot on with that. It is a co-worker. You still have to do the work.
Mhm.
I think spiritual psychosis, it presents a very unique challenge at the intersection of spirituality and mental health. It
Mhm.
requires a nuanced understanding, recognizing the symptoms, employing clear discernment. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but
Yeah.
those are essential steps for navigating it. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen that. I've noticed that too with cases in that I've experienced and things I've seen just in research and looking in this topic too of escapism, when you want to just get away from your current reality, you
Mhm.
know, and you lead down that path. And um, when I've worked myself with individuals on this topic, it is, you know, you open so many doors for so many things when you are in that desperate need to
Yes.
escape. You know. And I even had someone once ask a question of, came across a video of timeline jumping and a method to it, of timeline jumping. And the first thing that came to my awareness was, what are you running from? That you want to, not saying that timeline jumping and shifting is a thing, but in this particular instance, when we're talking about escapism and moving away, when that desperate need of looking for outlets and things, spiritual experiences, to get away from what your current reality looks like. It was just that topic of, so what is it that you are running away from?
Yeah.
And why do you not feel that you don't hone the power to shift your reality as is now?
Perfect. Yeah.
You know,
Perfect.
that's kind of like when that happened, it was, yeah, wow. It really brought to my attention how much this topic of spiritual psychosis is starting to make a big splash.
Mhm.
And look, I get it. This rock is hard.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this rock is not for the faint of heart. It is hard. It can be. It can be challenging. But
I agree.
the
I
yeah.
totally agree with it. 100%. I think that people who are exploring spiritual practices, it can be super enriching. It can be super empowering for some people, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also uncharted territory. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're lacking guidance or let's say a context for the experiences that you're having, you can misinterpret them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do I do predictions for the year. I do not make that public knowledge. There is a very small group of shaman that I share that information with because I don't believe in fear mongering. And I
Right.
know that some people are going to take that and go, oh, and that's horrible. I'm not doing that. I refuse to
Mm-hmm.
do that because that is me having clear discernment of the information of what information is going to best serve anybody for their highest and best good. I've been doing it for a long time, so I can kind of navigate those waters. And I
Mm-hmm.
am very honest in my interpretation when I will say, this is the picture that I got, this is the information that I got, and I'm not sure where that's leading to, right? Uh,
Right. Right.
and I don't think people have, when they're starting out, they have that insight. Sometimes when you see, let me give you an earthquake as an example, because I just saw a social media post where a girl was talking about that. We have earthquakes all the time. It happens all the time. I do a lot of earth reading. It's just something that I never worked for it. It just happened. And when it first started, it was terrifying, but not all of them are going to be horrible. It's just an earthquake. We have, it's
Mm-hmm.
part of living in the world. It doesn't mean that that's the end of the world as we know it, you know, or dreams. Krys, you know this,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people will have dreams or what I perceive as a shaman as prophecies within that dream. So they start to dissect their dream and they may have books on it or they may have heard lectures on it and they will misinterpret that and they will think that it's this horrible, awful, God forbid thing that is coming and evil is coming to get them and all of that. I'm telling you, our team doesn't talk to us like that. If it's scarable, if it's scarable, I'm making up.
Scarable. New word. I'm gonna start saying that now.
Scary and horrible and all. Look, dude, your team is not telling you that. Your ego is projecting that shit. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but our members do not talk to us like that. They may say things like prepare, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but they're not going to say have fear. They're not going to induce fear. That's the last thing that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I've chattered on.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I think that's a great, but I think that's a great point because, even just in development and again, regurgitating information from what we've talked about in past episodes, but when you don't have, this is why boundaries and your foundation matters, and it's so important, because when you're getting, I've seen when you're getting information, and you lack those things, obviously you're leaving that space open.
Mhm.
And we say this all the time, at least I know I say this all the time. If you throw a call out there, somebody's gonna fucking answer it. So make sure you know who's answering it. And even though our teams share information of collective events to come, or prophecies of things, it has never been in my experience, nor of other secure practitioners that I know, to have it anything outside of a still loving, empowered way, even
Yeah.
when they're doing tough love, even when it is a factual, or just like a serving you like realness. That's just how I think about it.
Yeah.
It's never taking that choice away from you,
Yes.
because they can't. It is
Yes.
yours to own, it is yours to always maintain. And I see that with some individuals who do these um prophesized readings,
Yep.
and I look at that, and obviously I know, I'm sure you're the same way too. I look at that, and I just see energy. I see
Yeah.
the what's around, the look of the person, the feel of the person. I
Sure.
see what they're doing. And it makes me question of, um, who are you getting that information from?
Yeah.
And like you said too, is that your ego
Mhm.
stepping in, because it's highlighting a fearful base that you have there, like, again, discernment, and unbiased. So I feel like when you're taking it, when I see some individuals with this kind of prophesized readings, and you can see the emotional investment that they start having, and then it just tornadoes from there,
Sure.
you know
Yeah. I think that there's also, and I want to be really careful on how I phrase this, um, the concept of spiritual bypassing.
Mm,
Okay? I think that has a big part in this.
yeah.
And if anybody who's watching is unfamiliar, I am just referring the term spiritual bypassing, to using spiritual beliefs or practices to just avoid or bypass unresolved issues. I
Hmm.
think that spirituality can offer valuable insight and tools to healing. And it's also essential to address any underlying wounds, traumas, rather than using spirituality as a band-aid, you know? Because if you fail to do the shadow work, absolutely, it will result in a failure in understanding your spiritual experiences, because you will become disconnected from your reality.
Hmm.
um, it becomes a source of escapism in my mind.
Right,
Again,
right.
that's just my personal opinion, but
Yeah.
I've seen it happen very frequently with individuals that if you were raised, let me give an example. If you were raised in a home that you did not feel safe in, and then you became an adult and you provided for yourself and you got married and you had children and you're nice and you're safe, and you start to explore spirituality, my friend, it's going to bring up the unsafe feelings that you never healed from childhood. And as you're watching people on social media who are saying, aliens are coming, the government is lying, all of these things that are pretty
Uh-huh.
popular,
Yep.
it can bring fear. I am not safe. I am not secure. And that lack of integration is with that shadow self is so crucial in spiritual development. You know,
Mhm.
incorporating your insights from your spiritual experiences into everyday life. And without that, you can struggle to reconcile with the practical realities of daily living. So it
Mhm.
lends itself to this fragmented self. I hope I'm not overstepping.
Mhm.
I'm trying
No, no,
to,
no.
I
Yeah,
hope
that.
I'm like explaining this well.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there's a lot
It's
of peer pressure, don't you think? Like on social
it
media,
is.
agree with me.
Well,
This is nuts, you know?
yeah, and I think too, what's what I find interesting, kind of going along with the same kind of point that you're making too, is I find everything interesting. Everything in the world's interesting. But with this mass awakening that's happening amongst the collective, coupled with the transitions that the world is going through at this time, and like you said, when you harbor aspects of self or past experiences and traumas, like your shadow,
Yeah.
and now you start exploring any version of spirituality. So, any version of spirituality you start exploring, it's going to bring that up. And if you are not contending with that, and I feel like too, this kind of to me makes sense of why we see so many instances of spiritual psychosis right now, because you're dabbling in this, it's going to purge your shadow. You're not prepared, or in denial, or whatever the case, resisting, whatever it is, whatever floats your boat for your reasons, of not addressing that in turns into feeding into these fears that lie within the shadow as well. And then you don't have your boundaries, your discernment, you don't have that unbiased
Mhm.
outlook on it, and poof, you're spiraling out of control. I mean, we just seen, I don't know the exact name, but there's a case that just came up recently. um I believe it was an astrologer or a tarot reader.
Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
I know
you know what? I can't think
about.
of
Yeah.
the exact name, but anyways, unfortunate events, but now it's being thrown around that it is that person went into spiritual psychosis.
Yep.
That person, as of that, made those choices,
Yep.
and this is the end result of those choices.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, and I look at that, and my heart goes out to everybody that deals with that, and it is a tragic event and an unfortunate event. But when I look on the other side of it, of just the what led to that, you can see that that lack of foundation, that fear
Yep.
that came in. And again, collective events, when you're seeking that kind of guidance, or you're receiving that, and you don't have that foundation set in place, uh it can feed off of fear. Absolutely.
Look, what I really want to say is, sure, you can reach out to any person that you feel is going to assist you in understanding your spiritual growth. Any person who is a spiritual mentor, coach, whatever label you want to throw on that, if they are worth a grain of salt and they know that you are heading in that direction, they should be giving you information in order to balance your mental health, and hopefully to give you proper instructions, directions. If they themselves are not licensed as uh, a mental health provider, if they provide spiritual services, And it gets kind of iffy, it gets into that iffy water. I think self-awareness and education is so important. I think healthy boundaries are important.
I agree.
We are literally, guys, we hit the lottery to come here. I know that sounds crazy because this is like struggle bus, right? I just made the comment earlier this morning where my daughter was like, "Oh, did you see, they have this big NASA report where they're admitting the aliens and they're looking at whatever flying saucers, I don't know." And she's like, "So what do you think?" I said, personally, if I was an alien and I'm flying by Earth, I would roll my window up and go, "Nope," and just keep going. But the reality is, if they are, they are. If they're not, they're not. We are eternal beings. This is an opportunity while we're here. This is our playground. We're supposed to enjoy it. We're not supposed to be in fear. The Earth has been around for a long time. It's not going anywhere. If you are hearing this is the end of the world, I'm telling you, that's bullshit. The Earth isn't going anywhere. It is not going anywhere. Anybody who says that, stop, click, change, go off that.
Right.
Skip.
Yeah.
Next, please. Because that is absolutely untrue. There's lots of things. We lived through Roswell, guys. We made it through that. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's okay. People are saying, "Oh, the government is lying and I can't take this anymore." Friend, it's been happening for a while. It's okay. We're still okay. We can live through this. It's okay.
I feel like this, especially this year, it's a hard thing for a lot of people when, again, I've said it before, truth and authenticity is the thing. And it's not that these are new things that have been happening. You're just now aware
Absolutely.
of it happening,
Absolutely.
and oh gosh, I feel like that too with the talk that I hear of like the second coming and all of this. And I'm just like, that is fear mongering stuff. That is fear-based things. And
you
it
have
is
to have critical evaluation in everything that you are taking in. You know what I mean? You have to be able to reflect and go, okay, I'm going to literally listen to this person. I'm not saying put your head in the sand, I'm saying listen to this person and use critical thinking while you're listening to this person and file it. Go, okay, interesting information. If the aliens are coming, how does that affect us? I still have to go to work. I still got to pay my mortgage. I got to do the things,
You still have to, like you stay in your lane. You still have to focus on your lane and nurture your yard and do all of your things. I feel like that's why I think everything is interesting. That's why I say that. Man, isn't that interesting? Wow, isn't that interesting? Because it is something that allows you to still be aware of it and look at it and hear it and listen to it, but give yourself the time to think through it. And I feel like, with all of this stuff happening across the world, this is why, and it's hard for some people to hear, but this is why I feel like a broken record when I say focus on your own lane. Stay in your path. Do what it is that you came to do while you were here, because all of the other stuff is going to work itself out. And at the end of the day, if you spend this next year as a hermit in your home in fear, and everything else is going to work itself out anyways, regardless of what you're doing. Where does that put you when the dust settles and everything else transpires? Where is that going to put you? You're going to be in the same spot that you were at a year ago.
Yeah.
What,
I think that one of the draws to the TikTok forum is that it provides a community where people feel safe to discuss their spiritual experiences. And it kind of gives them validation, perspectives, support. They don't feel so isolated. And I think that's great. I think that's wonderful that they have that opportunity. But I also think there needs to be some guidance, right? Who understands the potential psychological implications, a trained professional who can offer guidance. It's one thing to say, I am experiencing that. We have to have regular self-assessment. We have to encourage, as practitioners, other people, but we also need to encourage ourselves to regularly assess our mental and emotional well-being. My mentor a long time ago, he told me every single day, wake up and ask. You've heard me say this, Krys.
I was just about to say that too. So.
How is my mind today? Look at that.
Yeah. My mind to your mouth.
My lights are going nuts. Yeah. How is my mind today? Monitor the changes in your mood, in your behavior, in your perception, right? Those are all wonderful things, and how you can do that self-assessment. I think that's so critically important. I really do. Stress. Are you doing any stress management? I think a lot of this has to do with how are you taking care of yourself?
Right. Yeah.
How are you feeling with your mind? Are you overstressed? Do you have too much going on? Take a walk, take a break, go sit in the parking lot in your car if you have 5 kids and you need a break. Sit in your car, pick your nose for half an hour, breathe. I don't care, but try to deflate, try to let go of that stress. Any relaxation techniques, physical exercise. Everybody pushes physical exercise. If you see me running, call the police. I am not that. I like to hike. That's it. I'm more like I
always say whatever movement looks like for you. So movement can look like all kinds of things. So whatever movement looks like for you. And I feel like too, with that, if you are watching this and you know somebody, or you may feel like you are experiencing these things for yourself too, and you're diving so heavy into self-help books, research, YouTube, TikTok, all within this realm of, it can be overwhelming and it can be so much. So if you find yourself doing nothing but that constantly, take a break, go do something fun that has nothing to do with spiritual development, with anything in the collective. Go to a freaking arcade if you like playing games and just go have fun.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Go to a trampoline. They have trampoline parks everywhere here now. Go to a trampoline park and freaking jump around. Throw yourself into the pit of foam. Do something that has nothing to do with development, spiritual topics, collective topics, none of that stuff, because I feel like that's also inducing this fear and this psychosis and everything that these people are experiencing. Is you're not making time to just be. And that's also a great practice of just being in the present moment. You're just right here, going through stuff. And I've even suggested, I've given assignments to a couple of students who to go to a smash room
Oh,
I don't know if they have them where you have them,
yeah.
where you are, but
I've
they
heard
have
of
them here.
them. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to a smash room, set an intention what you want to release or whatever you're holding on to, and then just let it rip through the smash. It's a safe environment. It is a place where you can just let go and be free and go enjoy yourself too at the same time. You know, God, that releases so much of that energy. You know, so keep that in mind. If you are listening to this or watching this and you find yourself like, wow, yeah, I am really doing a lot of this development and feeling overwhelmed, because I love the check-in thing. I do that now every day. How am I mentally? How am I physically?
Yeah.
What am I feeling? What's
Yeah.
going on in my life that's causing stress or a disruption in my balance?
And that's literally how I train my students. I
Mhm.
train them to do that. Like if you are doing that self-assessment and you're like, I am not balanced, I am not where I need to be today, do not go to work. No, ma'am, you were going to call and you were going to reschedule, and your clients are going to thank you for that because you are a human being. You are a spiritual person having a human experience. And today is not a good day. You know,
Mhm.
it's important to have enough love and compassion for yourself, saying, I am worthy of taking a day off for my mental health. You know,
Right. And it does not make you any less of
no,
a reader, of a healer, of whatever metaphysical practice that you
not at
do. It
all.
does not make you any less of a
No,
practitioner because you are having a human experience and you need a moment.
we were so passionate about having this podcast today, because I feel that it is really important. Krys feels that it's really important. We've seen things pop up, and I don't feel like anybody significantly has pinpointed and really, it's like the elephant in the room, and no practitioners really want to touch on it. And I, I have a few things that I want to impart on you that you may be able to say, okay, am I experiencing these things? And if you are, then you can identify that
Mhm.
and seek help.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So if you are having, or you know someone that is having drastic changes in their behavior and beliefs, that's a big sign. Because anybody who has traversed spirituality, they're going to tell you it's so incremental. You don't just wake up one day and you're like, I am throwing everything away. I am going to walk to Mexico for 400 hours. You know what I mean? Walk through Mexico.
Yeah.
Because that was one that was just in the headlines, by the way. A man who had
Oh,
straight for 400 miles because he was spiritually awake. And that's why I was using that one.
oh gosh.
Yeah,
You
I
can't get
just,
you would catch me doing that.
yeah. And I'm like, he needs help. He needs help.
Yeah.
So this sudden drastic changes in behaviors and beliefs, that it's incremental. I promise you it's incremental in spirituality. I promise in a year you're gonna look back and go, wow, I've changed. But it isn't overnight, right? Um, the second one is like frequency. Spiritual experiences are intermittent, they are transient, right? When you are experiencing psychosis, it's continuous. It is persistent hallucinations or delusions. Okay.
Mhm.
That's the difference. Like you may have a vision, you may go to sleep and have a prophecy, you may talk to your spirit team, right? But you're to have that continually and never going away, right? That persistence is what we're looking for. Um, the third thing is the like the impact on how you function. Okay. Assess how these experiences are affecting your daily functioning. Okay.
Mhm.
Spiritual experiences will enhance your well-being and functioning. Psychosis impairs it. That means you're going to have difficulty working, you're going to have difficulty in relationships, and you will have difficulty in taking care of yourself.
Mhm.
And spirituality, it should enhance. If it's detracting, stop and let's look at that. Let's look at the bigger picture. I also think that the next one should be the context. Say it again. I'm sorry, I'm hearing it.
Oh yeah.
The context of experiences. Examine the content of an individual's experience. They will involve feelings of connections, love, insight, right? Like I think I touched a little bit on that earlier.
Mhm.
Psychotic experiences are bizarre, frightening, disconnected from the current reality. Guys, I can't tell you how important this is. My team is just feeding me this information. I can't even, like, it is so important. The next one is cultural content. Consider cultural or religious beliefs and practices. Some spiritual experiences may be culturally accepted and encouraged. Psychotic symptoms will deviate from the cultural norms.
Mhm.
Okay? Reality testing, evaluate their insight into their experiences. People who are experiencing spiritual growth will maintain awareness of their reality. People in psychosis are going to lack that completely. The irrationality of their beliefs or perceptions is, they're not going to see that. It's going to be vacant to them. Pay attention to emotional patterns. Spiritual experiences will evoke positive emotions, joy, peace. Psychosis will be accompanied by fear, paranoia, confusion. Literally, I heard so much confusion.
Mhm.
I think it's just important to approach these distinctions with sensitivity and respect. Spiritual experiences are deeply personal and they're very meaningful. Psychosis can be very distressing, very disruptive. I think that we should approach everyone who is experiencing this with empathy and understanding, and we have to support them. What they are experiencing is true to them. It feels real to them. And I agree. I think that there are a lot of people who mock on social media that are like, oh, look at how ridiculous and look at how crazy. And that's not helping that
Right, right.
person. That's not helping them. I mean,
Well, it's like mocking them and then some people almost shaming them for that experience, you know, and it's unfortunate that I feel like I do agree. I feel like confusion is a big factor and constant experiences all day long. And I know that it's a it's somewhat of a misconception of having abilities that, oh, you see spirits all day long, or you see energy all day long, and it's not overwhelming, it's not constant, it's where our awareness shifts. So if your awareness is not shifting in that way, that's the kind of a pinpoint of a red flag to maybe take a pause and look at that, what's happening. Because I feel like too, I've heard that when I was listening to you talk to of uh when you're no matter who says they see all day, you can see spirit, hear spirit, feel spirit, all of that stuff.
Yep.
You can easily shift your awareness into
Yeah.
something else with ease and no problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's, shifting yourself through that. I don't know who needs to hear that, but there you go.
No, I agree with you. I think it's easy for us to look at something and go, wow, that's nuts, or holy crap,
Mhm.
they are completely lost. Are we giving these people resources?
Right.
How about somebody throw out there, you know, I can't say it, but I have a resource that I think would be fantastic for a lot of people. All insurances accepted. It would cost you no money, and you would and it's online and it's great. I'm gonna have to reach out and see if I can even put that up there. But I mean, it is good to do that, to just reach out, have somebody that you can speak to, have
Mhm.
somebody that can ground you. You can't help somebody if you're telling them you're wrong, you're bad,
Right,
you're
right.
crazy. How is that helping them? That's not helping them. That's not helping. I had a client that was referred to me 2 weeks ago for this, 2 weeks ago, from a reader. And she had contacted me. She said, I would like to refer this client to you. Can I give her your number? And blah, 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 blah. Because she wanted to get her in right away. And I said, sure. So I did that. I met with her in an hour, in 1 hour of speaking with her, in 1 hour. She was like, thank you so much. And I've talked to her twice since then. And she's like, you have completely changed my life. I see things so much clearer, and I am using clearer discernment. And it's just talking. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We gotta have empathy. We gotta have love. We have to have compassion. We have to say, I see you. I know you're excited for the spiritual experiences. Are you grounded? Are you grounded? How is life doing right now?
Mhm.
Do you have a lot of shadows still? Are you still working through those? I see you. I know you're struggling with them. It's okay. We'll get through them. It'll be okay. And too many people are apt to point and say crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, true.
Why aren't we helping? If you're a reflection of me, why in the hell would I make fun of you? Or why would I point and not provide a resource or help? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm kind of rabbit trailing here, but
Yeah.
it just really affects me when I see people that need assistance and we're not giving them. We're not doing it.
Yeah. I know I'm the same way too when it comes to that. And I'm gladly have resources to reach out to. And, I have I have done it quite a bit where it is, here are some contacts.
Mhm.
By all means,
Yeah, I'm
I am
so
not a
like that. Yeah,
doctor. I am not
yeah,
I am not this and that. But I am all for, you know, seeking out additional help, a guidance, whatever,
yep.
assistance in any way, shape, or form that suits you or fits you for
Mhm.
your path. I'm all for it. And there's no there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. And I feel like that's
No.
also, and it needs to happen, in my opinion,
Mhm.
more and more, where your ego shouldn't be involved in anything of that, as a practitioner, of having resources available for clients, of seeking out additional help or assistance in whatever,
Yeah.
and I do feel like, that's a great point that you make. If we are all extensions of one another and we are reflections of one another,
Mhm.
and you're judging
Mhm.
that person, maybe you should take a look at yourself and ask why
Yeah. Why are you
you're
being
judging
so
that
hard?
person.
Why
Yeah.
are
Why are
you
you
being so
being,
hard? You
Mhm.
know, I don't, I, I have a hard time with that. I have a really hard time with that. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to have all kinds of numbers up there for people who need help, because I believe it's so important that we have resources. So
Mhm.
important in
I
our
agree.
field, in our network. Um, yeah. Sorry, I know I've
I
chatted
agree.
so much this
Yeah.
session. I apologize. I
I
know.
think that's kind of like what we do anyways. We start off with a topic and then it just folds into this, that, and this and that. But I do feel like this is something that needs to be spoken about. And I cite spiritual psychosis because I also see, a large uh building of talk of, and maybe we can save this for another episode too, but attachment, the big D word, and all of these things happening. And I feel like that can feed into this
Absolutely.
psychosis and
Absolutely.
cause so much disruption.
Look, fear is the
And
number one thing that's going to
absolutely.
pull you down and take you on a trip you wish you never had. Fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, the spirit world does not work from that energy and will not work with that energy. We
Mm-hmm.
are magnetic beings. We draw to us what we are, right? So if you're in fear, what are you going to experience, loves? You're going to
Right.
experience more fear. The universe is like, oh, she likes that. Let's give her that.
Mm-hmm.
No, but the spirit world does not work from that energy. Absolutely does not. I've been doing this for over 30. No, does not work from this energy. Will not work from that energy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're hearing things, seeing things, experiencing things that are evokeful of fear, I promise you, your ego is projecting that. It's not coming from them. Now, will they give warnings? Sure, sure. Things that are going to happen, but they never speak. I mean, Krys, you've been doing this too for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard spirit speak in a fearful manner? I have
Absolutely not. No.
never.
Even when they are serving me some tough love, it
Yeah,
is always
yeah,
still in the loving space.
yeah.
It never devoids of personal choice, your
No,
power of choice. It has never been my experience. Um, Anything that provokes or entices any fear within, absolutely, that is your hard stop
yeah.
immediately. Um,
And
and
I,
they will, and it's been my experience too, and I've seen even working with students and clients that spirit is going to work with you at your level, at your comfortability. If you have fear of uh, a certain topic or a certain area of practice, you're not going to be pushed into that or moved into that. I don't know, for whoever needs to hear that. Um, you set the tone of where you go and what you do and how you practice. So
absolutely.
again, it's never going to be that feeding on any type of fear or any type of shadow that you have, even when they are presenting part of your shadow, maybe as a, hey, you want to look at this?
Yeah,
But it always is that loving space, even when it is highlighting a shadow of yours, it's always loving. Anytime that it is enticing or projecting more fear or bringing on more and falling into like even the paranoia and all that stuff, that's a hard stop. Fucking
yeah,
stop. Whatever it is that you're practicing and doing, stop.
yep, yep. I totally agree. I think if you are practicing being balanced, grounded, and you're checking yourself every morning, how was your mind today? Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing that and you're practicing self-love, right? If you are actively practicing that, there's no way you can fall into this category. You can't.
Right.
You can't, because the vibration of it is so completely the opposite of self-care and
Mhm.
self-love.
And your awareness is
Yeah.
much more profound and open when you are in that space, when you
I
are
agree.
practicing all of those things.
I agree. Yeah.
So yeah. Any final thoughts on this?
So I don't think so. Yeah, I think I talked enough.
I'm here for it. So I think we'll end it on that note. So thank you everyone for joining us, whether you're watching us or listening to us. We appreciate your presence. And if you found this helpful, or you know somebody that will find this helpful, by all means, we appreciate the energetic exchange of sharing, liking and commenting. And if you are looking for resources once this air goes up, Charli will have links or resources, a list of resources for you to reach out and get additional assistance or guidance or whatever the case may be for you. So yes.
Absolutely. So until next time.
Bye.
Bye.